I don't think any of us were quite anticipating what we saw.
It was a very harrowing experience.
I was really quite taken aback.
When we got there, it was in the middle of all this sort of rough desert terrain.
There were several old-looking warehouses. They looked as if they were disused from a distance, so we weren't sure exactly where we were being taken.
Then we actually literally discovered this detention center.
I have visited a lot of detention centers all over the world, and I don't recall seeing detention conditions quite as bad.
And as we approached, the door was opened.
We walked in and we were greeted by probably around 400 men in one room.
From wall to wall, the room was entirely full.
They were in a crouching position, clearly unable to lie down. The thought immediately went through my mind as, well, how on earth do they sleep?
There was hundreds of eyes peering up at us from these sort of ghostly pale faces.
You could see that scared look in their eyes.
The bodies of all these men were quite thin and frail, with bones bulging out.
It was very hot and very stuffy and difficult to breathe properly.
There were very few windows, so it was dark.
As you can imagine, it smelled pretty intense.
An ominous and eerie silence almost oozed from the room.
Some of them were children, 15 years old, 14 years old children.
There was a toilet and a shower in the corner, clearly insufficient for the huge number of people in there.
Apparently it's the first time that anybody's ever visited them or been allowed in to see them.
The ones I spoke to said that their families didn't know where they were.
And it turned out that they'd been there for months.
They were being held there without any charge.
What happens is that as the so-called liberation of the areas happen, if you're a young Sunni male, the odds are that you're just picked up because you're seen as some kind of accomplice to the Islamic State.
These were children. They just wanted to know whether they would get out. Had they done something wrong?
They have no idea what's going to happen. Will they be dead or alive? Will they be tortured?
One of the reasons that the guards allowed us in was that they were asking for more help from the central government in Baghdad.
They don't have enough money to give them food, to give them medicines. It's really bad shape.
We had just 2 days later a meeting with the Prime Minister of Iraq.
This is what I said to the Prime Minister. The way to solve the problem is to make the Sunnis feel that they have human rights, they're equal citizens of the country.
After a few days, we heard that quite a number of these detainees had been released.
The governor of the Anbar province announced publicly that they were going to construct a new detention centre with more appropriate conditions.
Obviously, this is good news, but the fact is that there are so many more detention centres like the one that we visited in Amariyat al-Fallujah, so we need to work towards changing those as well.
This is where Amnesty's power comes into play. The credibility of our reporting, the fact that we were able to see the highest authority and we could put pressure in the right place at the right time. And this is really kind of Amnesty at its best.